Hi guys. Today we are welcoming Jessica Grady, and Jessica is we're interviewing Jessica as part of our Project RevivOL, inspirational people. So Jessica has got her own business and is going to tell us all about that. So I'm really excited to bring you in today, Jessica. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're very welcome.
And I suppose we'll just go straight into the first question, Jessica. So just start with telling us where you are, where in the world you are.
Yeah, so at the moment I'm based in West Yorkshire, so I have a studio here where I live, and obviously, but I do a lot of work all over the UK. Obviously, at the moment that's fairly limited, although I am doing a lot of online things which are sort of connecting with people all over the world, which is quite incredible, really. But I'm sort of Yorkshire, this is where I grew up, not particularly in West Yorkshire. I lived over on the coast, and I've sort of come over here near Leeds, which means I have lots of connections with sort of Leeds, York, Bradford, Sheffield. I do lots of work in this sort of area, but it's great. I love what I do. I love my business.
So tell us about your business. What is it that you do, and what inspired you? What's the spark that made it happen?
I did a textiles degree at university, so I studied down at Norwich University. So obviously quite away from where I am now, particularly because it's really close to London. I wanted to go into sort of fashion and design and that sort of thing, really. So I started making my own sequins and beads and embellishments while I was still doing my degree. To begin with, it was because I couldn't find anything that I liked. But as I sort of progressed and sort of, particularly in the textiles industry, obviously there is such a big environmental impact that people are sometimes not as aware of as they should be because of all the fast fashion, etc. And so that really became a sort of driving force in being as sustainable and as zero waste as possible with my work. So I do a little bit of textile design still. I design prints for the fashion industry, so I do freelance work for that. A little bit of embroidery design for sort of some companies, but the main sort of bit of my business and my process is my own work. So I make pieces that I sell in galleries and shows. I do lots of teaching and lectures across the country and further afield. And yeah, that's sort of, and obviously I love it. I'm a big recycler. That's sort of what I'm not so much push on people, but that is what I sort of try and teach, the sort of taking the unextraordinary and turning it into something extraordinary.
I've been looking through your website, Jessica, and it is fascinating. I mean, I was blown away by the materials that you use. What you're talking textures and textiles and colour, and you're using materials that are generally thrown away by people. So, it's made me look at things that I've got around me in a really different light because you put them together and make something quite extraordinary. It's fascinating what you do.
Good, thank you. Well, that is the aim to, when I make a piece of work and I sell it in a gallery, I want somebody to look at it and they actually don't know what it's made out of, and then that sort of starting that story and that sort of conversation with somebody, when they figure out that it's actually made out of a mushroom box that I've, washed after I've had my vegetables and then dyed and then turned into sequins. It sort of suddenly takes on a whole different context and people find it quite fascinating. And I just think, well, you're not throwing it in the bin. That's what I find exciting.
Precisely, yeah. And you've said I've read some bits in your website, it triggers curiosity, doesn't it? It's that the items that you use have got history, they've had a life before, and you're giving it an extra life, a new lease of life, should we say.
Yes, yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It is, my pieces are very detailed. They're all hand stitched. I mean, that's another big thing, that idea of tradition with the hand embroidery skills, but the juxtaposition of having these really sort of contemporary materials and sort of layers and things together with sort of recycled plastics, which is one of my favorites because there's so many available, and as much as I avoid buying sort of single-use plastics as much as possible, there's so many out there, you know, and it's what do you do with them, because you can't recycle them. And so it's just making people, yeah, just curious of what they're using and just how different things can be transformed just with simple processes such as adding colour or adding dye or sort of manipulating and chopping bits up and then stitching them back together.
And you touched on the sort of environmental impact of that, Jessica. You know, what difference do you feel that you're making? I mean, obviously you're not buying new materials all the time. So, you know, I think it's incredible in terms of the environment that you're creating something almost for free, or how do you see it?
I mean, the only thing with obviously reusing and recycling, although yes, you're not having the sort of financial output of buying loads of new stock, it's actually more time consuming in terms of trying to process and then turn those materials into something usable, because some things do require a lot of sort of stages. I can't just use them raw. And so that is sort of where the finance comes in a way because of the time. So these pieces that I'll make will take hundreds more hours than say if I'd bought a load of sequins from a shop.
And the other thing is you can't replicate it, can you? Because they're one-off, they're always unique. So you can't sort of save time on making multiple items because they're each so individual.
Yeah, well, exactly. But actually, it's something I really like. It's something I sort of say in sort of my brand ethos is that everything is unique. I actually cannot make two pieces the same. Even if I had a piece and someone said, oh, I really like that, can I have something like it? I said, well, you can have something similar, but it won't be exact. Because again, when I make it again, my process will be, oh, I can just, you know, change that a little bit, or I'll add a different color or add this on. So I'm constantly sort of changing things in my head, I suppose, when I do another piece. So I'm not someone who can replicate.
Well, that's amazing. It's all bespoke and unique. I love it. So
Yeah.
I mean, I know because I've looked on your website, Jessica, but tell the audience how they can get involved. You know, I think this is pretty exciting.
With sort of having a go with your things, I mean, on my website, I mean, I offer lots of classes that people can take part in if you want to learn how to, you know, transform your waste really into embellishments, or just have a go at doing something with stitch, because as well, the whole process of sort of the embroidery and the making embellishments and just being creative, it's really mindful, and it is really good, you know, for de-stressing at the end of a long day, to sit there with a load of bits and pieces and just stitch them together. You know, I don't believe you can do it wrong. You know, I don't come from a traditional embroidery perspective, therefore I'm quite sort of flexible, and I love it when people do different things that I haven't thought of. You know, it gives me more ideas as well. So there's lots of things that people can do, but yeah, I offer various Zoom classes, you know, online classes, workbooks, things like that, a variety.
Excellent. Well, we'll certainly be directing people to your website so everybody can have a look at what you've got to offer. So that's excellent. Thank you so much. So we're setting up Project RevivOL. Again, for us, it's all about fashion. It's all about upcycling, fostering a mend and repair culture. Have you got any tips for us, Jessica? Is there anything that we should be thinking about or considering?
I think really when sort of upcycling, thinking of things like that, it's not what something is at this present moment, it's the potential of what it can be. I think that's quite important. You know, something that's maybe looks a bit old and worn and not very nice at the moment, you can do all sorts with it, and having that blank canvas is probably the most exciting part, really, I think.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. And no doubt the people that are watching this will be jumping straight onto your website and having a look at some of the stuff you do. We'll be sharing some photos and pictures of the work that you have been completing, because it is just awesome. So appreciate your time. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up again at some point when Project RevivOL becomes something more than it is at the moment. No doubt we'll be able to call you in and get your expertise in some areas of what we do. So thank you.
Yeah, really. No, I'm excited about that. So yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye.